Hi, welcome back to another episode of the LaunchPoint Leader Podcast. My name's Lori.
And Mrs. Beau.
And we're excited to be back here for another week sharing a letter that a listener has written into us about a leadership problem they're facing. So we're going to jump right in. Today, our letter says, Dear LaunchPoint, I'm writing today to discuss an issue I'm having with one of my more tenured leaders. This person has been on my team for many years and has one of the best track record for results. They are always doing what it takes to get the job done and have a fierce passion for winning. Now, for the company, this has been great and probably why I've overlooked some faults for so long. It's easy to push aside the smaller complaints that have popped up from his team as jealousy or normal workplace disagreements. But now, I've had a group of his team approach me with serious grievances about this leader. They even shared that if things don't change, they want to look for opportunities outside of our company. At first, I was completely blown away. Someone who last week I would have said is our strongest leader now has a group of our team members on the brink of leaving the business. As I look back on this leader, they are so focused on winning and the results that they have little to no relationships with the team around them. When he was a team member, it wasn't a big deal. I assumed that when he promoted, the team already knew him and understood that that was just their style and they were okay with the situation, as our results have not suffered. It turns out I was very wrong. So how do I turn things around with the team? I don't want to lose these team members, but I also don't want to lose this leader. Right now, it feels like there's not really a way for everyone to win. Thanks for your thoughts on this matter. Sincerely, tuned out of tension.
Yeah. So interesting couple of things that I took from that, and I'm going to expound on it.
Yeah.
But he has a results, or this leader has a results track record, so that's great. But the one thing I think that concerns me more than anything with this is that we said we overlooked the faults for so long. We overlooked the small complaints, the little things, and we didn't really investigate those. And for me, I think that is where all of the rest of this could have been solved
Earlier.
Mm-hmm. So handle the issues when they're small. Don't wait for them to balloon up into something big. And I know that we're already past that at this point, but I think moving forward, if I'm this leader, I'm going, okay, when I start to hear something, I need to lean in and pay attention to it. Mm-hmm. I think a little bit for me is where I would start is you need to evaluate. So he's obviously had some feedback about lack of relationships or maybe being a little bit too rigid or results focused in the past.
Right.
What are your feedback mechanisms that you have in place in your organization? I would maybe look at that first. How are you getting routine feedback to either you or a member of your team who can then address things when they are at that infancy stage? The next thing I would potentially look at is this group of team members. You want to make sure that they are a trustworthy, reliable group of team members, that they're not trying to stage a coup, that they've not caused issues in the past, but that you really want to make sure that what they're saying has validity to it and that they're not just creating drama for the sake of creating drama. It sounds like they probably aren't based on what this letter has said about what they knew about the leader to be true already. Mm-hmm. I think after that, I would really go then to the leader and talk about the behavior specifically that he or she has to change. And thinking about this holistically, we talk about valuing results and relationships in the business, and you cannot have a great culture unless you're valuing both of those things. If not equally, close to equally.
Right.
And I think just working through that with this leader, wherever you get to with this leader, with this group of team members, with your feedback loop, I think the most important thing is helping the group of team members understand that you hear them, that you're going to investigate, and that the leader understands from you that you hear them, you hear that person, but you also have to get to the bottom of this so that the culture can be great for everybody in the company.
Yeah.
So I kind of start there, and I know that's a lot to maybe unpack, but we can go into more details if you'd like.
Yeah, I think the letter was really interesting because the first kind of beginning of it talks about, I noticed a few issues, but I pushed them to the side because they were small, or I overlooked it. And then it goes, I was completely blown away when I was approached the team. So I think it's really understanding what you said about how do you give and receive feedback to your team, because it sounds like you subconsciously knew there were some things that were wrong, but maybe you thought it wasn't affecting their team, or it sounds like this was a member of the team that then became the leader. So, that's just Greg. That's how he is. The team knows they're going to be okay with that leadership style. So I think what you said in the beginning about taking care of things when they're small is really key, because it can be really easy. And I'm someone as a leader, I default to the relationship side. And so when I see something that's going wrong that's small, I can be like, oh, that's a small thing. Maybe they're having an off day, or it's not really going to affect the team that much. And then over time, it can really build. So it sounds like maybe as a leader, you are a relationship person. You want everybody to work out really well, and you're dealing with a very results person, which is benefiting you because you now have someone that's bringing in strong relationships, results for your company. But now your team isn't able to deal with that well. And what you thought maybe was trickling down wasn't on the relationship side. So I think what you said there is some way, like building in ways of feedback. And we've talked about this on the podcast a little bit on and off. But you think in this situation, thinking of this person, what is an immediate way that he can clear communication lines between leader and team?
Yeah. So I think in this scenario, if I'm the person that's writing this letter and coming from that perspective, what I would have to do is go back and make sure that that I understood the complaint, and that I went to that leader, talked through it with him or her, Greg, talked through it.
Right, it's Greg now.
And then once I had a good understanding of this, if this was something that could be resolved, I'd have to get both of them together in the same room,
right,
and kind of moderate and talk through, so that they both can feel heard and understood, but that we've come away from that meeting together where there's a clear understanding of what's happening next that's going to be different than what's been happening in the past. Because you might also, so I think that kind of helps answer your question, but I think also you might have to realize that some of the team members might not be nearly as results oriented as the leader. Sure. And you can't swing the pendulum too much that way and not get the results that you have come to expect either. So there's got to be that happy medium. And as a leader, you've got to be that mediator between the two, but with a clear, firm understanding for both parties that we will continue forward. The business will continue forward. Right. We will continue achieving results, and we will have a great culture because of relationships. Right. I want you both groups to be a part of it. Mm-hmm. But at the end of the day, this is where we're going, and hopefully both sides can get on board with this and with the behaviors that we're going to say are going to be changing.
Yeah, I think that's exactly it. It's bringing everybody in out in the open because you've had your conversation. I think it's worth acknowledging before going into the meeting. I wouldn't blindside your leader with this meeting with your entire team.
Not at all.
Of course, have that conversation, but then bringing it to the group. And I think what's so productive in these meetings is not just having the initial meeting and maybe setting actions that you want to do going forward, but what is always really helpful for my team and what I tell coaching clients is schedule in the moment when you're following up on all this, because what can really easily happen is my leaders will go and try to make these changes and open communication lines, and they think everything's great and we're going to do these actions. And then 2 months later, you hear whispers like, oh, they never did that, or they did that for 2 weeks and then it stopped.
Yeah.
And so having in the moment with your team, like, hey, here's what we're trying. We're going to assess in a month if this is working, get feedback from all parties and kind of see there. So I think that's just a side thing when you talk about having that meeting that has really helped keep communication lines open. So you don't think a problem's resolved and then it's not, which in this situation maybe isn't necessary for the rest of time, but as someone that maybe has been a little tuned out, like we said, needs that extra little bit of time.
Yeah, I think the other thing I would keep in mind with these conversations is that you're in charge.
Yeah.
You're the boss here at the end of the day, and we're not going to be held hostage by either side. We're not going to have the leader in this scenario try to do nothing but appease the team, and we're not going to have the team do everything to just try to appease the leader.
Yeah.
I'm in charge, and we are going to resolve this problem and carry out the purpose that we have as a company and as a team with our core values, hitting results and having a great culture. And I think just remembering that this isn't the leader doesn't have to report to the team in this scenario. The leader has to be the leader that says this is a thing we got to resolve, and as a resolving it, we're going to continue moving forward.
Yeah, that's awesome. I think that's a really important thing to remind yourself up in this situation and bring up. let's talk a little bit more about results versus relationships. And we'll kind of speak from both perspectives. So first we'll kind of talk, I think let's spend some time talking to Greg, our results leader. If you're a leader that is very results driven, not quick, it's going to take time, but what are some ways you can think about the relationships a little better if that's not where your mind automatically goes or your natural inclination?
Yeah. So this is me. This is me, especially early on in my career. I really had to work at this because I really went into work going, I really don't have time for all the relationship stuff. I'm here to get work done. So I can relate to Greg. I think what I've had to do over the years is force myself to do things that don't come naturally to me. And over the last 20 years, those things that I've forced myself to do now come very naturally to me on the relationship side. So something as simple as when you walk into work in the morning or whenever your shift is, say hello to everybody. Say hello. How are you doing? What's new with you today? What are you working on? When someone does something, a task that you've assigned them and they do it, thank them for it.
Right.
Even though, yes, they get paid and it's their job, thank them for it. Everybody wants to be thanked. Provide some, just like we said, a feedback loop. Provide some kind of mechanism for you by which you can recognize strong performance. Maybe even if it's not in a moment, if you can just, every week on Tuesday at 9 a.m., I'm writing 3 notes to 3 members of my team, thanking them for their work. Little bitty things like that. And then just making sure that you thank them when they're finished with their work for the day, that when you hear about personal things that are going on in their lives, lean into that. If you hear somebody is sick, send flowers.
Right.
If you hear somebody sick, pull them aside, say, I'm thinking about you. If I can do anything for you, please let me know. It doesn't take extra time for most of this stuff. It just takes intentionality. So if you're results focused, you're going to have to take some of the things that make you so great at the results piece and systematize those for your relationship piece. Just like in relationships, if that's your strength, you have to take some of those things and create some systems to help you achieve.
And that was my next question. So for our results person, it's just because it's systematized and you're making a system out of it doesn't mean it's disingenuous. It's just helping you hold that standard. And now you have something measurable, which is what you thrive on. So that's helping you make that connection. But now I'm the relationships person and I know that my team doesn't have the best results. I'm struggling with that. How do I balance that and bring results more to the forefront of my leadership? Yeah,
I think before I kind of address that, I will also say, look, you just said something like it's not disingenuous if you have to systematize that relationship piece. This is so critical because I feel like sometimes we can think that. And what's amazing is when you systematize it and you do it, and it might feel a little clunky to you, what happens on the reverse side is they start to respond. And then a real relationship starts to form. And so what starts as a system really becomes a relationship in a short period of time if you actually do it. So how to get that relationships person toward results? I don't know. I think I'm going to lean on you for a little bit of this one because I think you're a self-proclaimed relationship over results. Initially, I would say the thing that makes you great with people and with relationships is also the strength that can make you great with results. And you're just going to have to spend a little bit more time drilling down on your natural inclination to relationships. What are the behaviors that you're doing that you could also apply to achieve results through those relationships that you've already built? But I'm interested to hear what you'd have to say about that.
Yeah, when I think about that in my journey and balancing these a little bit better, I think about what you say a lot, which is nothing is going to build your relationship more than helping your team win, than getting those results. And so I think reminding myself that sometimes I prioritize relationships with an individual, or I don't want to hurt an individual's hurt their feelings or cause them maybe to not have a great day at work, where really I'm hurting my entire team. So I think picturing the results helped me picture my team as a whole. And as a leader, really helped me grow stronger, because sometimes if you're letting one person get away with things, or even small things, or one person ruin, you don't want to offend this one person, so you don't do something that the entire team would like. I think when I pulled back and was able to watch that, I really started to pay attention to my results more and see the days that we didn't do as well, or quarters or months, however your business measures. success, the team is really affected by that. And so I think that's something that really helped me look at it a little bit differently.
Yeah, that's a good point. One quote that stands out to me is something that Andy Stanley said, several decades ago in a meeting I was sitting in. He said, do for one what you wish you could do for all.
Yeah.
And so that's not saying let one person get away with what you would like everybody to get away with. No, it's just like when you have those moments and you're a results-driven person. So from speaking from my side, a results-driven person, and you have a moment to really blow somebody away, but you can't do it for everybody, take the leap and do for one what you wish you could do for all.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
something that came to my head there. That's good. That's good. I think you have some points there, some good feedback. So valuing results in relationships has got to be an and.
Yeah.
If you're going to have a great culture and if you're going to have your business achieve what it's set out to achieve with its purpose anyway.
Yeah, that's awesome. Tuned Out of Tension, we really appreciate you tuning in this week, writing this letter in. And for all those listening out there, I hope you've gotten some good points out of this podcast. Bill, valuing results and relationships, I think is so valuable, no matter your business, no matter what level of leader you are. Thank you so much for writing in. If you want to write in your own question, you can write us in at advice@launchpointleader.com.
Thank you.
Thanks.